What counts in life is not the mere fact that we have lived. It is what difference we have made to the lives of others that will determine the significance of the life we lead. Nelson Mandela. Welcome, one and all, to this deeply meaningful edition of the People of Purpose talk show. Our special International Nelson Mandela Day celebration as we gather across time zones, languages, and histories to honor the life and legacy of the first president of our South African democracy, Madiba himself, Nelson Mandela, a man who taught us that true leadership is rooted in service, that dignity must be non negotiable, and that purpose is never passive. This evening is themed Reciprocity is Everything, a reminder that giving and receiving in spirit, in justice, in solidarity is the essence of being human. It is with joy and reverence that I welcome each of you to the celebration of purpose, music, and memory. Before we continue, it gives me great joy and deep personal pride to welcome someone who not only knows my heart and calling, but who also brings his own extraordinary purpose to this moment. He is my life partner, my greatest encourager, and tonight, my co host. But more than that, I should say, he is also a world renowned urban planner whose career began during South Africa's historic transition from apartheid to democracy. That moment wasn't just a political shift, it was a call to serve. And Gavin answered that call with humility, excellence, and unwavering commitment. He has served the South African planning profession with distinction in Durban, Pretoria, and now the Western Cape government, where he continues to shape cities that reflect justice, inclusion, and dignity for all. His work is about vision and legacy.
Thank you, Michelle, for those kind words. And good evening to all our friends from across the world, and in some cases, good afternoon. Before we continue, I just want to say that I've had the privilege of witnessing Michelle work behind the scenes where the spotlight doesn't reach. Many hours of pre-production and post-production, guiding her team, seeing them through all the work that needs to be done. And through the People of Purpose, she's created a movement where purpose isn't preached, it's also practiced. And this is the basis for all of her shows, and especially tonight, where we pay tribute to the spirit of Nelson Mandela and his legacy, and to all those who carry his legacy forward with fierce love and faithful service. Before we begin, we'd like to extend our heartfelt wishes to Richmond Mashlangu of Las Vegas in the USA, who was scheduled to reflect with us tonight, but he's recovering from an unfortunate motor vehicle accident. Richmond, we are really glad that you are safe, and we miss you tonight, and we will hold you in our prayers.
Thank you, Gavin. Before we hear from our global lineup of esteemed voices, we open tonight with a powerful voice in music. Craig Greenberg, who is joining us from New York City. Craig's music has been called a blend of Billy Joel's lyricism and Ben Folds' soul. But what sets him apart is his ability to capture the spirit of resilience and humanity in every chord. He's been the heartbeat behind many People of Purpose talk show moments. And tonight, our dear friend Craig Greenberg helps us set the tone by opening this concert. Craig, thank you for being here to share your exceptional musical gift and talent, to celebrate and honor the 107th birthday of the first president of the new South Africa, Nelson Mandela. You bring the soul of New York to our global celebration. Take it away, Craig. Everybody, let's give it up for Craig.
Thank you very much. Thanks for having me. Yeah, it's an honor to be here with all of you. Okay, well, I'm gonna play. I've been working on a new album, and this is one of the tracks. Actually, after I leave this session, that we're gonna go continue working on. This is called "Till the Mood." Wait till the mood arrives. Wait till the wind is at your back and you're feeling so inspired. There's no way you're falling from the track that you've laid for years, sacrificing all, nose to the ground. Somehow you found your way, held through the cold, the loneliness and tears. You stuck it out so you can fly away. Yeah, yeah. Now your feet are off the ground. There's a sense of wonder to your days. People come from all around to hear the music that you make when the mood is right. When you're drawn into the sound, open your heart and it comes pouring out. You feed the soul with love abundant waves, and you send them off into a state of grace. Yeah, yeah. And you feel the days, they move so quickly now. It's like the scene you've always dreamed about. You're staring straight up to the stars, so unafraid in who you are. When the mood is right, when you're drawn into the sound, open your heart and it comes pouring out. Hearing the call, they gather all around, and you set them free so you can fly away. Yeah, 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 yeah.
Bravo, Craig. That was beautiful. Your music
Thank you.
is always next level. So, Craig, you were recently in Canada. You
Yes.
want to you want to share a little of that?
Oh, well, I had a wedding in the Northwest, actually in Washington State, but I wound up going to spend a few days to check out Vancouver for the first time. I'd heard a lot of good things about it. It was a beautiful city. And it was also just nice to be in Canada. It happened to be during Canada Day, which I didn't even know what was happening when I made the trip. But that's their Independence, day, and it was nice. It was a nice feeling, with everything that's been going on, as I'm sure you're all aware. Uh, Canada's got this united thing happening now, given as a front to our government. So it was actually nice to feel that kind of this unity there that I hadn't really felt before. It was a nice feeling.
That's wonderful. And how were you received as an American musician?
Oh well, I mean, I was just there traveling. I wasn't there professionally.
Mhm.
It was just a trip.
So the
But I did check out quite a bit of the music scene there, and saw some really good music there. Um, and kind of scoped out some venues and when I do come back and hopefully play one day. So
Wonderful.
yeah.
Thank you, Craig. Thank you for sharing that with us. And beautiful. We enjoyed the first tune. Thank you very much.
Our next guest is someone whose life reflects the very values we celebrate tonight. The Honourable Helen Giddings is a respected and highly regarded trailblazer in business, politics, and humanitarian work. A former member of the Texas State House of Representatives, Helen has not only broken barriers, she has built bridges. From championing equity in education to standing up for international human rights, her leadership has left an indelible mark on communities across the US and beyond, including our very own South Africa. Helen, we are so proud to have your voice in tonight's celebration.
Thank you, Helen. You may go ahead.
Thank you very much, Gavin, and hello to all of you. I'm delighted to be included in this program as we approach the birthday of President Nelson Mandela. I was in 1995, I was in the Texas House of Representatives, and I carried the legislation to remove the sanctions that Texas had in its constitution against South Africa and Namibia. And afterwards, in the fall of 1995, I led the first trade mission educational exchange from the state of Texas. And I was fortunate enough to be at the Rose Bank Hotel and have Mary McStana, who was President Mandela's personal assistant, come over, bring me an invitation to a state dinner that he was having for the president of Tanzania. And that was it was totally unexpected. And it was just one of those moments in your life that changes everything. And I was fortunate enough to continue to have a relationship with the president until a couple of years before his death. And I remember my first meeting with him after the state dinner, Mary McStana, and I'm not pronouncing it correctly because it's the MX sound that I don't know how to click and make. And Mary never did like that. I couldn't figure that out. But anyway, she took me after the state dinner, she took me back for a private meeting with him. And the first thing he said to me is, I just want to thank you Americans for what you did to help dismantle apartheid. He said, what you did was the straw that broke the camel's back. And while Americans sort of thought that removing those sanctions against South Africa was largely symbolic, he fully understood that to have the investment from U.S. companies was very, very important to South Africa. We continued, I feel so fortunate to have developed that personal relationship with him and just jumping over most of it. When he was given the Congressional Medal of Honor, President Clinton was our president at the time, and Newt Gingrich was the Speaker of the House. And I tell people all the time, the U.S. didn't invite me, but Nelson Mandela was able to invite 50 people. And I was one of the 50 people that he invited. And down the road, of course, I became the first honorary consul that South Africa named after the new democratic government. And so I was told that I could be a model for what honorary consuls should be. And one of the things that happened along the way is when Sheila Sisulu was the ambassador from South Africa to the US, I'm sitting in my office and she calls me one day and says, the president asked me to come and see you. And I said, of course. And so I was the most surprised person in the world when she whipped out this box. I wish I brought it with me. And he had sent to me an exact replica of his Congressional Medal of Honor. The only difference was mine was not gold. I don't know what the medal is, but it was made by the U.S. Mint, and it is one of my most prized possessions. I was, in my mind, a lowly member of the Texas House of Representatives. You know, I was not a head of state or any of those things that I think would have gotten the kind of treatment that I was awarded. But I think one of the things that I gathered from President Mandela that I found very refreshing, because for me, you know, he was a South African president, but we all thought of him as the president of the world. We all wanted to somehow be associated with him. And for me, he was the soul of South Africa and a moral compass for the world. And I think that my relationship, and every year on his birthday, we do try to give that 69 minutes of service that we were all asked to give on his birthday. And what we do here in Dallas is that we go to the North Texas Food Bank and we volunteer. And we will be doing that Saturday, the day after the birthday, and we will make a financial donation. So I'm happy about that. But in closing, I think that I was able to have and build a relationship with him. And what that said to me is that President Mandela cared more about relationships than he did titles. It didn't matter to him that I wasn't a head of state. What mattered to him was that I cared enough about what was going on in South Africa to work to remove the sanctions that we had against South Africa in Texas. And through all that, I know that titles fade and offices change, but when we have respect and when we're sincere and when we share a common purpose, it can lead into these kind of relationships. And even though I was not a head of state, he knew that I was someone who cared. And at that time, South Africa needed people who cared. I did then, and I still do.
Thank you, Helen. Thank you very much for that. And your relationship with Madiba, it's touching, as I've discovered in our 10-year friendship. And I thank you for what you've done for the country, for your activism behind the scenes. There are some other activists on the call today, and those were dark days, you know, when you came to the fore with other civil rights activists in the United States to stand for us when our voices were not given precedence, not even allowed. You know, you stood for us, and we stand with you. We will always have that strong link with the United States. That friendship will never die, and I feel blessed to say that today. And I know Gavin agrees with me, and most of our friends on the call would do so too. So thank you. Thank you for being our honorary consul. Thank you for being my friend. Thank you for being Madiba's friend, and for connecting us all in that way today as we remember his memory, as we remember and honor his memory on his 107th birthday. Thank you, and God bless you, Helen.
God bless you.
So we will move on to the reflections. Our reflections today will be by Shanthani Connor, who is in Israel. She's coming in from Israel, although she is a Dallasite, an American citizen who is in Israel for her academic qualifications. And then we have Gavin Benjamin, whom you've all met, Jeevan Padiachi, Georgia Umano, Rory Sangmatuba, and Bianca Davis, who will join us later in the program. So I will begin with Rory Sang. Rory Sangmatuba is joining us from Johannesburg. She is an award-winning Hollywood and Disney actress, playwright, and director. Rory Sung is the creative force behind the Fences production in New York. Rory Sung, Nelson Mandela said that there can be no greater gift than that of giving one's time and energy to help others without expecting anything in return. Your reflection on that statement?
Thank you so much for having me, Michelle and Gavin. It's so wonderful to finally meet you, and beautiful face to the name and the energy and the legacy. You know, it's like it's heartwarming to me. I love you both so much. So thank you so much for having me. You know, Utata Nelson Mandela had a lot of wisdom in what he said. He was very much, as much as he was a freedom fighter and a fighter, and even in his early days was an actual boxer, he was also a poet. You know, and I think he said things that were very lyrical that we quote now to this day. And I just think that the legacy of his words has continued to live on. I mean, he's over a centurion years old, you know, and we're still talking about the things that he said when he was a young man, when he was in his 40s, his 20s, and that is something that never goes away. So someone like me, who you know, as a writer who honors words so intensely, you know, I only can take that on, and my hope for myself and for the people behind me is that we take on these amazing words and the legacy and we continue to push them forward, because that's why they have to live on. And so it's wonderful that he could say things like that and they can resonate even now. And that's the point, is resonance. That's legacy. That for me is generational wealth, to be honest. Yeah.
Rory, that was beautiful. Thank you very much. You do me proud every day of the week. Just think of what you're doing, how you're doing, and you're the result of all that struggle and everything we all had to go through back in the day to be where we are today. And to see you shining up there and just doing your thing, it makes us proud, doesn't it? It makes us proud. And Gavin and I consider you not just to be our friend, you're also our daughter. So welcome.
I love you. Thank you so much. This is becoming gushy for all of us, but yes, I love you both so much. Thank you.
So on that gushy note,
Yes.
I think it's time to take it away.
Uh-huh.
Craig Greenberg, everybody.
Yeah, this next song, this is a very, actually a positive song that we're also working on right now in the studio. This is a song about keeping faith, but it's basically about being proactive about it, not just having faith, but acting in that way to, you know, meeting faith halfway, I guess you could say. Yeah, it's called If You Stop Believing. Shed light when you're not sure where to go. Shed light when there's darkness in the road. Walk up to the mountain if there's answers that you seek. Wade into the waters to wash your spirit clean. Find another reason to keep faith within your heart. 'Cause if you stop believing, then the whole thing comes apart. Sing out when the world has got you down. story comes to an many miles we've come and many more to run. We go in circles and we get lost again. It's not the things we have, it's the ones we love that let us know it's worth it when we're falling down.
Bravo, Craig. It's better with each performance.
Thank
So,
you.
if you want to tell us, how you came about to write that beautiful tune?
Oh, well, it's interesting because I mean, I usually write from the, music is usually where my starting point, and I had that kind of riff, that intro riff thing. And the first thing I was actually singing originally was Tread Light, and it was about to be like kind of taking it easy in precarious situations. But I don't, when I write, I don't sit down with an end, say I want to write a song about this. I kind of, the music kind of evokes a feeling, and then I'm discovering what the song's about. But when I hit on that what became the title, If You Stop Believing, then it kind of, then okay, oh, okay, this is what the song is about. So yeah, so the music kind of evoked this feeling, but it kind of had this obviously it's very up tempo and also up positive message. It kind of came out that way. So then it was just kind of fitting it in, filling the pieces around that kind of feeling. So yeah, and a lot of times I write something and then and I have to like, oh, what am I, what do I think it's about? So for me, like I said earlier, it's about, obviously having faith, but kind of, all the lyrics are about, taking an action, so, and in my experience, when you do take steps and make moves, the world meets you halfway. So yeah, that's
Wonderful. Good choice too for the program we're having today. And it does, I do think that it does add that layer to reciprocity being everything in our world today. So, Craig, what is your understanding of Nelson Mandela as an American, uh, Jewish American, um, musician, man of the world? What is your understanding of him?
Oh, just that he was a great and inspiring leader, and clearly someone that cared about humanity. I mean, obviously, I didn't, grow up too much aware of him. It was only till much later that I kind of learned. But from everything I've heard and read about him, he was a really kind of a visionary and someone very principled, clearly, and kind of had this kind of light and direction of things, and he kind of stuck to it and led the country and the people that way. I mean, so yeah, pretty inspiring person.
Wonderful. That was beautiful. And I think he would have loved your music. He had a special dance. It went like this. It was called the Madiba Shuffle. It was a very special dance. And it was very special. It was very kind and people loved it. And in South Africa, everybody tries to copy that dance.
Oh, is that
So
right?
Chris, thank you. Thank you very much. And on that note, we will go back to the reflections. And this time, I'll call upon Gavin, who is joining us with me from the city of George, Western Cape, South Africa. So Gavin is an urban planner, as I told you all earlier, and he works for the Western Cape government as a director in the Department of Environmental Affairs. So, Gavin, Nelson Mandela said that a fundamental concern for others in our individual and community lives would go a long way in making the world a better place. So, the kind of place, a better place we so passionately dream of. Your reflection on that.
Thank you, Michelle. Just by way of context, this quotation comes from the remarks delivered by Nelson Mandela at the 6th annual Nelson Mandela lecture in Kliptown, Soweto. And it was significant because Kliptown is where the Freedom Charter was signed in 1955. And the guest speaker, or the keynote speaker, was the first female head of state in Africa, President Ellen Johnson Sirleaf of Liberia. So it was quite an important event in which he made these remarks. Now, for me, the significance relates to the actual words that are in the quotation. He speaks of a fundamental concern for others. And to me, that signifies a deep rootedness, being foundational to our lives, permeating every aspect of our lives. So, concern for others must become a way of life that comes naturally to us. It's how we should be living our lives without really giving it much thought. Then he speaks about our individual lives, which to me is a recognition of the importance of self and the sense of responsibility that is a necessary part of an impactful life. And then he speaks about our community lives, which acknowledges that while self is critical, there can be no community without the individuals that comprise a community. The idea of community lives recognizes that there is a life that is larger than ourselves, and in which that impactful life is perpetuated beyond the lifespan of an individual. And in my view, this brings us to a virtuous cycle. A better me means a better you, and a better us means a better community. And a better community grows better individuals. And so it goes, reaching higher and higher levels. So in this way, we strive for the realization of a better world, making this possible better world a real thing. That's what realization means, making it real. And Nelson Mandela was a person of vision. So he inspires in us this desire to have a vision of what a better world would look like for an individual, as well as the communities and societies in which individuals live and move and have their being. So what's interesting for me is that the place where Nelson Mandela made these remarks and the keynote speaker he introduced both signify freedom, the Freedom Charter and Liberia. But the truth is that we are only truly free when we understand that we are all connected, which to me speaks to the theme of this show, which is reciprocity. So we give up certain things in order that we gain other things. And what we give up is less in the broader context of what we gain. Thank you, Michelle, for the opportunity to reflect.
Thank you. Thanks for a beautiful reflection. Thank you very much. And we move on to Shanthani Connor, who is joining us from Jerusalem, Israel. Shanthani is a Dallas chaplain, a mental health care and healthcare professional, performing arts dance professional. So Shanthani, my dear friend, Nelson Mandela said that there is nothing like returning to a place that remains unchanged to find the ways in which you yourself have altered. Your reflection on this. We can hear you.
Wonderful. Good evening, everyone. I'm ecstatic to be a part of this conversation. And it's truly a full circle moment for me in many capacities. So when I think about the impact of an individual such as Nelson Mandela and his legacy, we're talking about a legacy and how one person can empower the globe. So as I reflect on the portion that stood out to me, his quotes stating, "There is nothing like returning to a place that remains unchanged to find the way in which you yourself have changed." And so I would say that those are life words. And what brought us all together was my sister and my brother standing before me. I just honor you, Michelle and Gavin, Benjamin. When I think about relationships that impact your life, you would be considered in that category. I also want to honor Representative Helen Giddings, because when I think about what she has done for the entire world, and especially for my generation, we're talking about opportunities here. So when I think about the people sitting in this room, what is so profound to me is that someone can give you an opportunity and then you have a moment to recognize it and then have an impact yourself. So I am honored to be here today, and really what I want to focus on, especially when you think about the creative arts, which is my first hat, to now a dance company, I'm a board member, really wanting to have an impact for this generation, which I consider them my babies, and affectionately, and then also having retired from healthcare in 2023 as a medical chaplain. You would have to question, how would those come together? In short, I'm going to read this quote. "The world is facing a significant and worsening global mental health crisis, with millions affected by mental disorders and a severe lack of access to adequate care. Factors like social media, isolation, and the COVID-19 pandemic have exacerbated the situation, leading to a surge in anxiety and depressive disorders. The economic impact is also substantial, with mental health conditions costing the global economy trillions of dollars annually." Now that's an economic impact. So when you're looking at the target population for myself, as I summarize, I began to see, as a chaplain in a major trauma hospital, the impact before COVID and certainly after COVID, how much anxiety and mental health disorders had escalated. And so they're now retired, now working with the creative artists. You would go, well, what does that have in common? What do they have in common? It's the same thing. I'm a volunteer. I'm advocating for this young generation. And since COVID, I know firsthand that mental health has spread all over. And so I am blessed and honored to be able to advocate. And the best way to describe my role as a chaplain is to consider a paramedic. A paramedic comes to the crisis and they work with the injured individual, and they have a matter of time to transition this person to the appropriate healthcare provider. My role as a chaplain is very similar. When I am in the presence of a crisis, whether it's emotional or spiritual, I'm navigating the same way as a paramedic to recognize the distress that the person is in and also to move them forward. So when I think about Nelson Mandela, Representative Giddings, and all of the distinguished people that I am among today, I think we have this in common. We recognize our moment and we advocate and impact another generation. So thank you so much, and blessings to you all.
Shantini, that was beautiful. And advocacy is an important part of many lives here on this at this gathering, because without it, where would we be? And how will we change the world? And you are indeed a game changer, a world changer, a humble woman who goes about the world doing great things. I mean, you should be known. Many people do not even know who you are because you're just quietly going, one day you're in Somalia, and then another day you're in Israel, and then sometimes you're in my country. I mean, it's phenomenal what you do and how you're doing your work, and we love you for that. You embody the spirit of you embody it, and we love you for that.
Thank you.
And we love you and Helen so much because you're both from Dallas and Bianca.
Kisses, kisses, kisses.
New York. And we love everybody here because you all came. So thank you for that, my sister. Really touching. We shall now move on to Georgia, my dear friend, my sister from Santa Monica, California. Georgia is a screenwriter. She is about to go on the big screen with a movie she's written that has won many awards. And we're all rooting for Georgia from around the world that she will turn this movie into a best-selling, well, it's a major novel, award-winning novel. She wrote the novel and then she wrote the screenplay for it. So we are trusting that this will be a blockbuster. And Georgia is, she's married to Gerald Everett Jones, who is also a novelist. They met at UCLA in a writing class. Georgia has a very interesting, sweet life, and she has two little baby children. Her baby children are her two dogs, whom she's written about in Terriers in the Jungle. And Georgia is also the founder of the Elephant Matriarch Project. She cares deeply for wildlife and especially elephants. She's a vegan for the animals as well. So, my dear friend and sister Georgia, Nelson Mandela said that it is in the character of growth that we should learn from both pleasant and unpleasant experiences. Your reflection, Georgia.
Thank you, Michelle. Thank you so much. This reflection that you gave me, I was having some problems with it in the beginning because I thought, well, what do you get from the bad things? I know you learn from the bad things. You learn from the bad things and the good things, hopefully. But, you know, then I thought, well, of course, if you don't learn the things from the bad things, you wouldn't get more good things in the future. I mean, even just take an elephant, for example, an elephant matriarch, since you brought it up. She leads the herd to safety, to water, to what they need. But how could she do that? Because when she was younger, she had to go through probably seeing some of her fellow elephants die from starvation, from thirst, and from being attacked. So she had to go through that, and then that made her strong enough to actually be the leader for many others and help them. And so that's what I was going to say, but then I realized what we in this country are going through right now, those of us who are sensitive, is very difficult. And it feels hopeless sometimes. It just gets worse every day as long as certain people are in power. And and it's hard when we're actually going through that to feel like, oh, this is a learning experience. I mean, yeah, maybe ultimately it is, but you still have to, you're still feeling the pain, you know, when you're going through it. But then, you know, you invited me to this program, and then I started thinking about Nelson Mandela and all those years that he had to spend in jail, that he was able to say those things after he really put in the time. I mean, how many years? I don't know how many years. I know it was a while that they locked him up and were mean to him. And he still, look at how he rose like the phoenix to make such a beautiful country and to be honored worldwide. So it's almost like you can't really tell when you're going through it. I'm sure he didn't have, every day wasn't wonderful for him either. But it is kind of a light at the end of a tunnel to think about him and his life. And I thank you for having this program and inviting me on. It's very spiritual and inspirational. Thank you.
Georgia. Thank you, Georgia. That was lovely. It was from your heart. And we are all in this together, one way or another. We're all in this together. As you heard Helen speak earlier, when we were having dark days in South Africa, America stood with us. That was a given. And it spread throughout the world that way. So we are here to celebrate the life of one of the world's greatest icons, Nelson Mandela. And each and every tribute here is testament to this beautiful life that touched the world, not just South Africa. So, Georgia, thank you. And we love you. We love you from here. Craig, you must go ahead and light up our virtual stage the way only you can.
This next song is a bit of well, it's a little bit of a New Orleans influence. It's a bit of a boogie woogie song, a little bit different. But we were talking about mental health earlier, and this song is called "Some Peace of Mind," and it's about arriving at a place for, you know, one of the first times where I do feel that way recently. So feel free to shake it around on this one. Bits of rage, but they don't ever spark. I got down days, but ain't crying in the dark. I've been hurt so many times, but I take it all in stride. And I'm gonna move ahead till I hit my mark. I've had hard times, but never do they last. I've had enemies, but they're safely in my past. I've been crushed a million ways, but it's what I've gotta say. And I'll sing with every breath until my last. Step outside and greet the morning light. Face the news, but don't let it kill the vibe. Mood is gonna rise again, and I know I'll get there in the end. Oh, just in time to be so mine. smile. Oh, yes, I find peace of mind. Thank you.
Well done, Craig.
Thank you very
Wow.
much.
Let's hear it for Craig.
So there you go.
That's
Thank
wonderful.
you. Craig,
That's
that was
probably going to be
Thank you,
that might be
Craig.
that might be the next single I'm putting out. So
Yeah.
keep it.
Love it.
love it.
Good
Yeah.
choice.
Thank you very much, Craig. So our next reflection is coming in from Dallas, Texas, from a beautiful young lady called Bianca Davis. Bianca, you in the house?
I am.
Yeah, great, great, great. So Bianca is the CEO of New Friends, New Life. This is an organization that fights human trafficking. So, Bianca, Nelson Mandela said that as we let our own light shine, we unconsciously give other people permission to do the same. Your reflection on that, beautiful lady.
Sure. I am so excited, first of all, to be here. Thank you so much for having me. And when I read that quote, the first word that stuck out to me was the word unconsciously, right? I think much like Nelson Mandela, I believe that when we are operating in our space of purpose, vision, compassion, forgiveness, that you're going to radiate a light, right? And there, we all have intentions on what we want our impact to be. Everyone on this call, everyone who's listening, we have an idea of the impact that we want to make in the world. But simultaneously, what's happening is you're also making an unconscious impact. In this space of the fight against human trafficking, it's very clear to me what we want our agency to accomplish. We want women to be free from exploitation, abuse, and trafficking. We want them to become self-sustained and emotionally whole. But there's also something else that's happening that's intangible and unmeasurable. And an example I have of this, I remember it's been a while now, but one day I was walking into the office and one of our members was sitting on the front step and she had on some big, beautiful earrings. And I started talking to her about her jewelry. And so we're in this dialogue and she said to me, "Wait, what do you do here?" And I said, "Oh, I'm the CEO." And she jumps up off the steps and she just starts to cry, gives me the biggest hug. And she said, "I never imagined that someone who looked like me would run a place like this," right? That is the unconscious, immeasurable impact of the light that we all radiate as we're going about the things that we are intentional about, right? And so that's what came to me when I read this quote. We know that there are into eternity, generations are going to remember the life, legacy, light, and impact of Nelson Mandela. And because of the life he lived, that subconscious, unconscious impact is going to inspire us and those of us to come to let their light shine as well. And what a gift, right? So that's what came to me when I heard this quote, that we have an opportunity every day. We're making an immeasurable, unconscious impact, shining our light for others to see. And that's something that never ever dies.
Wow. Thank you, Bianca. That was beautiful. And it's a reflection that I'm sure if Madiba could hear it, he would love too. It's very special. So, Bianca, I need to ask you just one question. When did you first discover that the world had Nelson Mandela?
I must have been, I'm originally from the Bahamas, born and raised. And so I think it was in my formative years, I would say, when I became maybe on my way to college, where I really got an understanding of who this man was and the journey that he was on. And I cannot to this day wrap my mind fully around his capacity to forgive and move forward. And I think of that capacity also in this space because we work with people who have been hurt and misused by others. And so, how do you move forward and not be bitter and not be angry and not harbor self pity? How do you still look up every day when you're going through so much? And so, every now and again, I'm reminded of his capacity to forgive, and I'm still in awe of that. It's
Marvelous.
unreal.
Very much for sharing that with us, Bianca. So, Craig, you're still bringing the soul of New York to our global celebration. And you do have another tune for us, right?
Yeah. Do one more? Okay. All right. Well, thank you again. This is my last song. And thanks for having me. And it's been a pleasure to be here with all you guys today. This song is another bit of a, I guess, an optimistic song. This is the title track off the last EP that I put out. It's called Between the Sea and the Sky. And I also call this song my first middle-aged song because it's basically between the sea and the sky. The sea is this life and the sky is the next, and kind of getting to this midway point, but kind of just thinking or feeling that you're still just at the beginning, keeping the beginner's mind. Okay. When I was young, I was an ocean liner, safe from the waves that would come and go. And now I'm grown and only wanna be a flyer. Whoa, oh, I believe there is time. Between the sea and the sky. I catch a wind and it propels me forward, out of the womb just like a newborn child. I hold myself from the fear of falling low. Oh, it's the sweetest sight. Myself to the shadows and the clouds. Now I'm awake and I'm catching all the signs. I sense my fears, but I do not pay them mind. I take a step, but I do not turn around. I wait to hear the sound to send me on my way.
was awesome. Absolutely awesome.
Thank you very much.
Craig, David, who is one of the guests here today, he's from the Mahatma Gandhi Foundation in Pietermaritzburg. That's in KwaZulu-Natal. And he wants to know whether you will sing one of the freedom songs of old that inspired Madiba and others during the struggle. So let me just fill David in. We're busy teaching Craig the freedom songs. It's going to take some time. It's going to take some time because those songs, they have an African rhythm, and we've got to get Craig into the whole the mood of it, right? Is that what we're doing? But Craig has a little surprise for us. It's just a few seconds of an African. Yeah, but Craig, we have our final reflection from the powerful activist in Merebank, Durban, Gavin. So after that, I would love you to do that little bit of an African beat for everybody. I think David will be happy about that. Look, David, if you want to become an activist and you want to be inspired in that moment, go for it. You want to do the Madiba shuffle? I think we could have that in the room. Is it? Yeah, we could go for that. So the thing is, let's go to Gavin, because I know Gavin is waiting to come on and reflect. Gavin is actually from the Merebank Book Project. He is the board member of the Merebank Book Project, and he is a very powerful civil rights activist from back in the days of apartheid. He even once sat at the dinner table of our beloved Madiba. You got your Madiba shirt on too. It looks gorgeous. Yeah. So wonderful, Gavin, wonderful. And so, Gavin, Madiba said to be free is not merely to cast off one's chains, but to live in a way that respects and enhances the freedom of others. Your reflection on this, Gavin.
Firstly, good evening, Michelle and Gavin and the rest of the panelists. Thank you for your very interesting contributions. And also, Craig, thank you for those beautiful songs. I've had the opportunity and privilege of listening to you last time, and this time around, you really do us proud. And Michelle, thank you very much for the fine work that you do. It's such an important piece of work that you do, bringing people from all around the world. And I want to thank you for that. And firstly, to unpack that particular quote, Mandela's quote suggests that freedom is not a solo act, but a collective endeavor. When one's freedom comes at the expense of another's, it's not truly freedom. Instead, genuine freedom involves respecting, promoting, and enhancing the rights and dignities of all individuals. And the implications are that how we think about freedom, human rights, and social justice. It encourages us to consider the impact of our actions on others and strive for a more equitable and just society. And in a sense, I think Mandela's quote reminds us that freedom is not just a personal goal, but a collective responsibility. And as you quite rightly said, I had the opportunity and a very distinct pleasure of being part of a small group of people to have been invited to Mandela's house in Kwanu, in the Eastern Cape. And there were about 8 of us, and it was a very interesting evening. It was around 2002, and Mandela was about 84 years of old, 84 years of age. And it was perhaps one of the most defining moments of my life to have met such a great man, because we all spoke of him in awe, and we listened to him and his leadership that basically achieved what one would have, the world probably considered impossible, years of apartheid and a bloodless transition to democracy, and all through his visionary leadership. And we spent 2 hours with him talking, and one thing that struck me about Mandela is the fact that he, as I think it was Ellen who said, he didn't consider titles. I was just a young activist at that time, and he spoke to us as though we were equals. He gave us the same amount of attention and respect And it was a cold winter's day in evening in Kwanu. And just to show what a humble man he was, he actually walked us to the door and bid each of us farewell. Something normally one would sit back expecting somebody of his stature and allow someone, his assistant, to lead us out. But he was there and in person took us out. And I made the mistake of thanking him for the wonderful dinner. And then he called all his crew from the kitchen, the chef, and all the servers. He said, not me, it's those people that made it. And we thanked them. And it really left, our meeting with him, I think, made us all reflect on our own lives and our own notions of humility. And I think that's what basically the world saw. Not only was he a leader, a world leader, but he could get down to the level of the most ordinary human being. And as we celebrate Mandela's 107th birthday today, that's coming up, I'm certain that he will be devastated to know what's happening in the world, especially given this particular quote, the freedom of others. And he would have been horrified to have witnessed the US-led genocide in Gaza, where dismembered babies are being pulled every day from the rubble, where starving women and children are mowed down when they go to feeding points by the so-called Gaza humanitarian organization or something. And it's actually a sham, it's a stain, it's a blot on humanity. And I think history will judge this generation of us, and they will ask us, what did we do when such an horrific holocaust was unfolding in real time? And so we continue to agitate in the small ways that we can for the freedom of the Palestinians. And I hope and pray that this will come to an end very soon. And I just want to end by one of Mandiba's other favorite quotes. He says, "Our freedoms are incomplete without the freedoms of the Palestinians." Thank you, Michelle, for giving me the opportunity. God bless you.
God bless you. Thank you for that. And it was heartfelt. And we know Madiba would be very proud of your voice today, had he still been here. And what a way to celebrate his 107th birthday. All your voices, every single one of the reflections was beautiful. And you all came from different parts of South Africa and the world. And we were touched, right? You were touched? I was very touched. And
Thank you, Michelle, for doing your bit for spreading the news, I think. And I hope this basically reaches the worldwide audience and the message is loud and clear. Thank you for that.
Thank you for saying that. Dr. Betty Gavin, as we hold space for this global celebration, I want to acknowledge your presence and quiet strength. Thank you for joining us this evening. Your scholarship and writing, they have lit a path for generations of South African thinkers. You remind us that culture and consciousness must always go hand in hand. And just before we close, Craig has a little surprise for all of us. I want to ask Dr. Betty Gavin if she would just say a few words.
Thank you, Michelle. I'm sorry I'm not able to start the video. There's something wrong with the technology on this side, but I just wanted to say how thankful I am to be here and thankful for your life and Gavin's and for all you do, and also for this wonderful gathering here of hearts and minds. Thank you. Yes, I'm 80, going on to 82 soon. And so I've had a long life where Madiba was part of my life and thinking and consciousness. And what I want to say quickly is that Mandela cannot be put into a box. If you look at his life and the trajectory of his life over the different stages, we talk of the 7 stages of man, but here was Mandela showing different cycles in his life and the response to the needs of the time, the courage to change, to say passive resistance has failed. And the courage to then come back and say, we need passive resistance. So for me, here was a man responding to the challenges of each moment. Here was a man, when Boipatong took place, the deep, deep pain we felt. And here was a leader who said, how long? How long will our people suffer and endure pain? And the way in which we worked through the early stages of the Truth and Reconciliation. There's a lot of criticism, but we have to understand how Mandela responded to the challenges of the moment. And now, 30 years down the line, we really have to ask, what are the demands of this moment for each one of us? And I really feel that we need not just to honor Madiba, but to honor the claims for truth and justice. We have to respond to all the challenges around us. Mandela did say to be free is not merely to cast off one's chains, but to live in a way that respects and enhances the freedom of others. And we know the deep challenges across for us to respond to the freedom of others, nearby and far away.
Thank you, Dr. Betty Govinden. That was beautiful. Thank you. It was impromptu because you weren't one of the featured speakers, but we knew you were going to show up as our guest, and we love you for your.
We love you.
We love you back just for all your work as an activist, an academic. You really are someone who took our country to the next level, and also very quietly in the background. And
Thank you.
I think Craig has a little surprise for all of us. It has a South African flavor to it. And I think, David, you're going to find this very appealing. We can turn it into our own struggle song if we want, but it's actually a happy song, I think, Craig. So, Craig, you take it away.
Okay, yeah. So I had known this song. I had definitely heard it before you told me about it. But anyway, there's a lot going on in the song. But I'll just play the piano part that's from it. Wait, let me try that again.
Thanks, Craig.
Thank you, Craig. That was the intro to Grazing in the Grass. Thank you so much, Craig. That was
You
beautiful.
can feel the spirit of Brahu there.
Hugh Masekela's Grazing in the Grass. Everybody, thank you all very much for coming today. This has been one of our most special shows, and I must say that without all of you, this would not have been possible, because you showed up, because you responded. You made it possible for us to celebrate a very important birthday in our country and the world today. So, as we close this special celebration, I want to offer my deepest thanks to the hearts and hands that made it possible. To my global team, especially Andre, who administrates our Zoom invitations and emails, thank you. To our featured guests, thank you for sharing your reflections, your truths, and your time. You reminded us tonight that purpose does not retire, and legacy doesn't lie in monuments, it lives in people. To Craig Greenberg, thank you for bringing the heartbeat and soul of this evening through music. You gave us not just melodies, Craig, you left us with memories. For Madiba's 107th year, we have memories. And to my husband, Gavin, thank you for walking this journey with me, for co hosting tonight's tribute, and for never letting me forget that reciprocity begins at home. So, Thank you for being part of this global Mandela Day celebration. May we live our lives or live lives that echo Madiba's grace, courage, and fierce compassion. So happy International Mandela Day, everybody. And remember, reciprocity is everything. Thank you to all our guests. Thank you, and God bless.
Thank you, Michelle. Thank you, Gavin. Thanks to the rest of the panelists.
Thank you.
Thanks
Goodbye. And you
Thank
can
you
all
for having
tune
me.
into our YouTube to watch this show in the coming days. So Beverly says, may we live up to Madiba's vision. Yes, we will, Beverly. Thank you. Thank you very much for attending. And keep in touch. Everybody keep in touch with the People of Purpose Talk Show. God bless.
A long way to go, but we're on the road. It's a long road.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, everybody. Thank you for coming. Thanks, Helen. Thank you. Thanks, Shantani, Craig. Thank you, guests. Jeevan, Georgia. God bless. Bye-bye. Bye.
Bye. Bye.
Bye.